there's something you need to understand in order to reach financial freedom. Not everyone can, but most people are not tapping into their true potential. And once you do this, you will understand that it is possible to reach financial freedom, or at least a much better, comfortable way of living. And this is what I did. By the end of this video, you will understand what needs to be done, what you need to do in order to reach financial freedom. Now you might say, why is the car on? Why you are in this place that looks like poor? And so on. But those are just superficial things, right? It's because I am in the Philippines, and this is my second country because it's my wife's country. And so I actually live here and I live in my home country, Portugal. So I live in both places at the same time. Same time exactly not, but in a year, all year round, I live in both places. But even though I must tell you, not everything is going according to the plan, but I can work on it instead of accepting reality as it is, because it's already limited from the very beginning. What I mean by that is that why is the car still on? The car is still on because I'm in the Philippines. So in the Philippines is right now 30 degrees Celsius. And so what does that mean is that if I stop the air conditioning while the car is on, right, I'm gonna die in just a few minutes. Suffocated. Now, what did I actually do in order to reach financial freedom? You have to think it this way. When you work for a boss or a company or whatever, you're already limited from the start. So once I realized this, everything started to shift in my mind. Because just think about it. In today's economy, it's impossible to have a normal job like in the era before, in the era of your parents or, I don't know, parents, grandparents, I'm not sure exactly, depending on your age watching this. But for sure it was easier before, because you could work a job and afford to own a house by the end of your life in terms of working. So like 65, whatever. You already own a house, already own a car, you already have no bills, no debt, nothing. You're already good and you can live comfortably for the rest of your life. Now it's no longer the case. So even if you do what's supposed to be done, what the majority of people do, you will end up broke, and the whole life you'll still be broke. So since economy changed rapidly, you need to adapt to the new economy, to the new ways. And the new ways, what do we have that the generation before didn't have, is the technology. Now, what I did is I used technology and God to do something that, of course, not everyone can do, okay? I'm just explaining what I did. And what I did is I awakened spiritually. I'm not saying that you need to awaken spiritually, but it truly helps a lot, because we need to remember who we truly are. We are not just somebody who comes here, have just this life of working till death and then gone, and then there's nothing else. That's stupid to believe in that, right? That would mean no purpose, because otherwise you would just come here and abuse everything because it's just temporary, so I can do whatever the heck I want, and it's supposed to be done that way. You need to have a more powerful belief in something beyond your comprehension. Only then you will appreciate life better, because it's not possible that everything here happened for no reason, like just randomly. No, don't believe in that. Now, I'm not saying you need to be religious, whatever. I'm not religious at all. I'm just a believer that there's a higher power beyond what's the current that we can perceive, right? There's something that we cannot perceive that created everything. So it could be God, could be anything. There's a higher power beyond our comprehension. So you should believe in that already, because there's no way we build all of this. There's no way. There's something beyond that. But removing that, there's a lot of successful people. You can see that most successful people, they truly believe that there's something beyond their power. That's why they are successful. But they don't mention too much. But they are not religious. They could be religious, but most successful people, they have this belief within them. Some are puppets from the Matrix, yes, but there's these ones that, there's a lot of celebrities that are really connected with God. So there is a need for a spiritual foundation in order to create your own reality, right? Now, removing that out of the equation, the job. Once you get a job, or you study, or whatever, as long as you are working for somebody else, the percentage of achievement that goes limitless, it's really, really low. It's really rare. There's only a few people who turn managers and then become CEOs of huge companies, and then yes, they reach financial freedom and so on. But those are really, really, really niche and special cases and rare occasions where that happens. Now, if you are one of those people, then you don't even need to watch this video, of course. You could be, just have to strike for. And if you are one of them, you already know exactly if you are. Because there's no way you don't know that you're going to become such a huge person, right? I surely would, because I already had some hints on what I really liked to do, such as creating music and so on. So the only thing needed was I needed a push, right? I needed something beyond me to say, hey, I believe in you, right? And so I needed also to believe in myself. Once I did that, I only needed to believe myself and start to work towards that goal of believing in myself and making it work. But of course, in the direction I was going for, it was not happening, since I was trying to become a DJ. Not that I wasn't a DJ, I was already a DJ, but I wasn't a successful DJ. And once I awakened spiritually, there was no more reason to become a DJ, because being a DJ also brings more of that, of the drugs and stuff like that. So it's not really the ultimate goal of connection, because yes, you create strong memories, but those memories are based on alcohol and drugs, and so it's not really bringing your natural self. So I needed to do something towards evolving and awakening and helping humanity. That's when I asked God for direction and say, what am I gonna do with my life? And that's when I was meditating and realized that I got this message from God and said, you are going to produce music for the souls. So that's the only thing I heard. It's within me, right? A message that said, you are going to produce music for the souls. And I'm like, the only way to produce music for the souls is to do meditation music. Meditation music is something I can use as a DJ producer, but instead making the souls more rich, right? So people, and that's what I do until now. I create music for the souls. So I do meditation music. So it worked. Once you know your call and believe and do everything it takes to get there, you get it. because it's your call, right? Now, you need to find your call, or if you are like my wife that doesn't have a real call, but it's okay, she's my wife, she's family, right? So she's a woman, so it's different. She takes care of, she's supposed to be a simple, right? Simple goals and simple family. That's the way she is. So I told her it's okay. She doesn't need to know exactly what she's gonna do or whatever. You know, it's not an obligation. Society puts so much pressure, but sometimes you don't know what's your call, right? You don't know what you're good for until you experience things and that. So there's so much pressure behind, and sometimes you are wasting so many years of your life studying for something that you are not even supposed to. It's not your call. So that's something you need to realize. Turn off the pressure of society and fulfill your true call. Awaken your call. Try to find your call, because that's so much better. Spend 1 year or two, a considerable amount of time in yourself trying to find your true path, than to waste so much time elsewhere without even realizing what you're good for. Okay, experimentation also is needed, right? So basically what I needed is to step out of my 9-to-5 job and find my call and believe in myself. Why? Because once you enter a 9-to-5 or something like that, you are already limiting yourself, limiting your mind. Your mind has been used to just generating the work needed to fulfill that job. It's not looking for ways out. So once I was doing that job, I was already thinking on how am I gonna get out. So once I realized that, I was like, I'm already not supposed to be working here. It doesn't fulfill me. This is not my call. I'm not supposed to do this forever. I'm not gonna end up staying here working my entire life for no purpose at all, making somebody else's purpose. So your mind is what you are doing, what you're creating, what you're being right now. So if you are not being yourself right now, how do you expect to work and become financially free into something that is all about your true call, your true self? It's not going to happen, because your mind is set already for limitation. You need to step out, so that it's like survival mode. You activate survival mode. So your mind's already limited because it has a job, so it doesn't have to think outside that job. And in order to think outside of that job, to look for ways to survive, you need to put your mind into that environment. So once you're still in the comfortable environment, your mind cannot think outside of that environment because it's already comfortable with that. So in order for you to start generating 24/7 thoughts, use your mind, right? Towards finding the call, finding what exactly is going to fulfill my purpose here. And in order for you to set your mind for that, you need to step out of the 9-to-5. Now, I'm not saying for you to get out right away. I didn't do that. What I did, something similar. I was very risky, but I was on my 20s. I had a lot of energy, a lot of, I truly did things like outrageous, like crazy. I could, travel the whole world, crazy, like crazy. I was already, ready for everything. Like, it's crazy. It's very hot. So you need to step out of the comfortable zone in order to put your mind into the uncomfortable zone. Now, let's say you're living with your parents. You're still comfortable. So in order to put your mind into the best way possible, you need to put... you can, don't get me wrong, you can be working, you can be studying, you can be living with your parents, you can do all of that and still be able to generate thoughts in an environment outside of the comfortable zone. What you have to do is to shift the thoughts of your mind, the source, and say, hey, I really, really, really need a way out. Otherwise, I'm never going to be happy in my life. So once you do that, start to generate. Don't let anything come into your mind to stop that from happening. Generate 24/7 thoughts, ideas, ways to get out, to be financial free. Once you do that, your mind starts to generate. Say, okay, I'm awakened now. We need a way out. Let's think about that. And then starts to help you. Boom, 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 starts to come. What about this? What about that? And then you start to imagine all possible scenarios. Me, I had a call already for music production. But there's more things I like. So I'm working on them. But first, you need to become financial free. You need to be able to create a certain amount of abundance for you to start to be much more comfortable and start to be like, okay, now I can generate infinite thoughts, infinite ideas, infinite abundance. Because once you're still struggling, you cannot think outside. You are always suffering. So it's just like in the movie Lucy, where she stabs his hands of the guy on the couch, and then the guy is like that, and then he's like, you see, I'm trying to tell you something here for you to, and you cannot understand. All you understand right now is pain. Pain. That's all you care right now. Pain. So what she was saying is that once we are in pain, we only can think about pain. So if you are in a 9-to-5 job, all you can think is a 9-to-5 job, is to complete that job. So your mind doesn't think outside of that. You need to shift your mind to think outside, because the mind has infinite potential, man. Infinite potential. There's so many proofs out there of the mind having infinite potential. And so you need to step out. You need to train your mind to be out, to think outside the box, to say, hey, I'm here, but I need to be there. So help me into there. Start to generate everything that I need. Ideas, thoughts, ways, techniques, tricks, everything. I need all outside towards this direction, not this direction. Okay? And so for me, I had to quit my 9-to-5. I had to quit without even know if it was going to work, because it was the only way to put me in that mentality, because I came from a poor background. And so everything around me, my family, in my mind, everything was already poor. I came from poor mindset, poor thoughts, poor beliefs, everything poor. And so I could not think of a way to become abundant. So I had to really put myself in a way that I was never before. And that's when I entered survival mode for striving for success. So my mind started to open up. It was like, okay, soon I'm not gonna have any more money. It's gonna finish. We will go on under the bridge. I won't have anything to eat. What the heck, man? I don't want to end like this. Go. Let me think. And start to, in my case, I start to meditate, to start to have a calm mind, in order to reach a spiritual state where I could reach God, and God oriented me. And that's when I knew the path was enlightened. And then I started to work on it. It didn't work right away. It took me 2 years to start to earn a few cents, and then euros, and then turn into hundreds, and then turn into 1,000. So 2 years and a half to earn the same amount as I was earning my job. 2 years and a half. But I'm here, making more than 10K a month for years and years and years. Right now it's 11, 4:30 and a.m. here in the Philippines. Yes, I've been doing some work, and now when it reaches like midday, 1 p.m., I'm already free. I can go then I work a little bit more at night. So I already reach a few levels higher on the financial freedom. I'm still not fully satisfied, but I'm grateful for everything I achieve, of course. I take care of my mom and all of that. Now, is it enough? It depends on the priorities, but I still want to reach another level, because otherwise, what else are you going to do here on Earth, right? So, all you have to do is basically shift your mind towards success. And sometimes, in order to do that, you need to put yourself in the survival mode. If you cannot put yourself in the survival mode, but you still live in the comfortable zone, try to shift your mind into the uncomfortable zone. Try to make your mind on survival mode. Like, is this what am I gonna become, or is this what am I gonna be the rest of my life? Ask yourself. And then wait for an answer in yourself. It's gonna say no. Then that means there's room for potential. So start to generate from that kind of source, from that standpoint. You need to put yourself in that standpoint. And that's when you start to shift. That's why I say sometimes you need to quit your 9 to 5 in order to make it happen, because your mind cannot think outside of that. So you have to study your case. Everyone is different. Everyone is unique. Of course, you still need safety. So I suggest you still work your 9 to 5, you still study whatever you need to do, live with your parents, live with somebody else, but train your mind to think outside, to say, okay, if I'm going under the bridge, or if I'm gonna live my unhappy life forever because of these decisions right now, I need to shift. Start to generate everything I need to do. I need to ideas, thoughts, patterns, ways, whatever, in order to reach financial freedom. And sometimes you really need to quit your 9 to 5. But I'm not saying for you to do it right away without a security. I put myself in that way. It was dangerous, but I still had a rent house of my mom. So yeah, I was not gonna end up under the bridge, but it could happen, because what if my mom loses her job too and this? So it's quite dangerous to do that, but it worked. And now I take care of her, take care of my family. So yeah, it worked, but it might not work all the time. That's why I say a spiritual background, a spiritual source, or a spiritual foundation is very important as well, because there's something higher than us, than just this illusion of life. And yeah, you have to ask yourself, am I living already towards that which I want for the rest of my life? If the answer is no, then it's time to shift and put yourself in the most uncomfortable zone, because once we are in the comfortable zone, we no longer think on like uncomfortable zone. So for example, if you are put in the wild, right, to survive for 1 week, wouldn't you have to change everything you know about? You would have to know how to survive. You would have to learn ways that you never had to learn before, because you are now uncomfortable. So you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable place to start to generate thoughts, ideas, and everything using your mind from that source, from that standpoint, uncomfortable zone. And as long as you are not in the uncomfortable zone, you cannot create anything that requires to be uncomfortable, because you're already comfortable. It's just like saying to your mind, for example, you are poor, and then you say to your mind, I'm rich. Your mind knows it's not true. Of course it knows you are still poor. And then you say, no, but I'm rich. It's not going to change you. It's not going to make you financial free just by affirming something that your mind knows it's not true. So in order to shift that, you need to put yourself in an uncomfortable zone. Then your mind's going to believe you are in deep shit. So it needs to learn ways to get out, because your mind will try to learn ways to survive. and then gonna start to generate everything it needs to survive. So in this case, if you need to survive, you're gonna do whatever it takes, but in terms of financial freedom. So if you are just like, I need to survive, so I'm gonna get any job. No, you're already limiting yourself. What I want you to do is to generate ways, like turn off the jobs if it's limited. Of course, if you have a job that's gonna pay you more than 100K a year, it's really good. You can start from there. But if you are very limited, right, and that job is not going to fulfill that purpose, then you cannot let that be an option. So eliminate that and just let your mind be open for ways to become that which you really want to become. And so turn off the possibility. It's just like, for example, you really don't like to live with somebody else. You are not going to see that as an option. So your mind, when thinks about that, is like, oh, turn it off. This is not an option. You're like, okay. It's just like stealing from the bank or whatever. You're like, so do I need to rob a bank? You're like, no, of course not. I'm going to end up in jail. That's not the way. Turn off. Okay, boom. So that's not an option. So start to close down the options that do not going to fulfill your final purpose. And so turn that off and see only the options that can set you for success. And that's how I did it. Spiritual foundation, the mind shift, the belief in myself, find my call or look for your call, believe, spiritual foundation, and put yourself in an uncomfortable zone and let your mind open. Of course, I used my soul, and does my soul breaking down my mind, because the soul is the source, not the mind. The mind comes after the soul. So I'm telling you the mind, but if you are more spiritual or more spiritual connected, then start from your soul. Your soul is going to guide you towards what you're supposed to be, because your soul for sure wants the best, not the worst. And then you have to be aware of your ego. The ego is going to try to protect you, and so it's going to put you in the comfortable zone. You don't want that. Let that to happen. Let that happen. You don't want let that happen, because your ego is just looking for a job to be comfortable. Or it's going to say, it's always going to be against, like, yes, it's going to try to save you, but then at the same time it's going to be like, no, you need better than this. Okay, that's a good thing, but not all the time. For example, you also need to be grateful for what you already achieved, right? So there's a balance in the ego. But start from the soul. The soul knows exactly what to do, what's best for you. If you're not spiritual grounded, then start from your higher mind. And those are the ways to get out. I know it's a very long video, but it's like that. I speak like that, and then I start to evolve into the conversation. If this doesn't work, then I'm gonna shift and start to make shorter videos and be straight to the point. Take care. See you in the next video.